Hey, and welcome to The Solid Verbal. Now would be a perfect time to consider subscribing. Yeah, that little subscribe button for year-round premium college football content. That's it. Here's the video. Enjoy. Subscribe.
Let's talk about Florida State. Florida State got off to a really bumpy start last year.
Yeah.
And look, it was not at all certain that Mike Norvell was going to make it through the season, let alone through to 2022. But to his credit, he pulled it together. The team did play better down the stretch. Now, a lot of the concerns that I think we're going to discuss here about Florida State have been there for a while. These aren't new problems per se, but it does seem as if there is a renewed sense of optimism that some of those kinks have been worked out. I know you're a much bigger Jordan Travis fan than I am. Where are we at with Florida State if you're going to put them in that 3-hole?
Jordan Travis needs to stay healthy. Mike Norvell has been the architect of this offense and called plays. Kenny Dillingham, the OC from last year, goes to Oregon. Alex Atkins, internal candidate, offensive line coach, promoted there. It's basically, is the architecture of this offense adjusted to the point where they're not just taking shots and needing big running plays? You know, they're more talented at running back and receiver, I think, this year than they were last year. They're deeper at running back, and they add Micah Pittman, Johnny Wilson, if he can handle his drops, a big receiver, and transfer from ASU, Micah Pittman from Oregon. The offensive line is still the story. The offensive line needs to get better every week. Jordan Travis needs to stay healthier. And there needs to be more successful intermediate action on offense for this team to succeed. Because defensively, I know you're a big Jared Verse guy, right? The Albany transfer.
Love him. Yeah.
It's big shoes to fill for Jermaine Johnson, ACC Defensive Player of the Year. But I think the defense is fine. This team was led by their defense last year. I think it's only getting better. It's only getting deeper. They're fast. I'm not terribly worried about the defense. They probably need to get better against the pass in a conference with good quarterbacks. But I think there's enough there. No, it's a pretty challenging schedule. It is.
I was going to say counterpoint.
It is a challenging schedule.
We've got a neutral site game against LSU week 1. They do have a week 0 game against Duquesne.
Yeah.
But week 1, LSU. They're on the road at Louisville, at NC State, at Miami, at Syracuse, which I'm curious to get your thoughts on the Cuse. We've also got games in here against Clemson at home. Got a game in here against Florida at home to close out the season. There are not any cream puffs on this schedule, maybe outside Georgia Tech or Louisiana Raging Cajuns, but this is not an easy schedule by any stretch.
There's also the intangible of Florida State starting 0-4 last year and then losing to a largely unmotivated Florida team. I know it's a rivalry game, but still, you're talking about an interim situation where Florida really struggled to summon up excitement and electricity for the back half of their schedule, and yet they beat Florida State. So that's the question to me: is there consistent motivation? Is there consistent focus? And that's top down. So Florida State schedule, look, you mentioned all the teams that they're playing. Florida State with Wake, at NC State, and Clemson in a row. Forget, Louisville, forget LSU. But just the variety of playing those 3 teams and preparing for the differences in game planning against those teams and executing against those teams. It's a wild, wild slate. So I have Florida State as in that 8-ish range as well, 7-8-ish range. Still a super young offensive line. And so, for a lot of these teams, you're only going as far as blank will take you. And for Wake Forest, it's like the linebackers, essentially. And for Florida State, it's the offensive line. If Jordan Travis is upright, if the holes are there for whatever, Trey Benson, and Micah Pittman becomes a part of their offense, they're winning a bunch of games. I hope that they are a more ground-based team that is smart about what the route trees look like, and then they're going to be really successful. They are. I like Jordan Travis enough that I think they're going to be good, but still, there's still some the offensive line thing still worries me.